I hope you like the menu, what we do this evening. We strongly believe food for stomach is more important than food for thought before we talk about food for thought. Actually, that's the intention. Good. I'll take 2 more minutes just to brief you, just to update you what's happening. Next event is happening on 20th of June. We have the book reading, not book reading, is read and grow session where we do it mainly for the management students to come and understand the habit of reading. We put in tremendous effort to develop the habit of reading among the students, and we have got excellent library. They get connection with 1.25 million research paper, e-books. We got everything, but still reading is yet to grow. That's why we said read and grow, because we strongly believe to be a great leader, you have to be a great reader. Because I've seen who's our outstanding achievers who have come to MMA, they're all outstanding readers. So we have an outstanding panel. We're going to discuss on the book Coffee Can Be Investing, actually. We have Babu Krishnamurthy, Ajit, and Satyanarayana will be talking to you. It's a very interesting session. So please do come on the 20th. Then 24th, we have Media and You, Trends, Challenges and Opportunities today. The first time MMA, we are going to have 7 women on stage talking about media. It's all women. This is done by Women's Forum. We got outstanding women panel, including Lata Menon, filmmaker. We have Deepa Kumarivel, theatre personality. Joe Andavan, Lalita Vaidyanathan, Rangapriya Gautam. She's again a media management personality. Susan Sridhar, professor of Vaishnav College for Media. So we got the team of 8 people will be joining. It's happening on 24th June. They'll be talking to us on media and you, trends, challenges, opportunities today. It's good to hear. Come and encourage women. They're all outstanding achievers. It's happening on 24th evening, same time at MMA. Then on 26th, we have again very good event, because we strongly believe there is an issue. There is no communication happening between mind and the body. I think there's some issues. And many times the communication really disturbs you. There should have a constant communication between your body and the mind. When it gets disturbed, then we have issues actually. And I see in articles every day on mental health, mind management and physical health, every day. So we thought, why can't we do a series with one of the experts in this field? We started a new series called Unleashing the Inner Potential, Cultivating Mental Resilience and Well-Being. And we are collaborating with Buddhi Clinic, one of the outstanding achievers, researchers in this area. So the first session is starting on 26th of June. We have Yenapathan Krishnamurthy, founder of Buddhi Clinic, is there. Along with them, we have a panel of outstanding people who will be also giving you icebreaker and telling you a lot of things to do. I really urge upon you, please do come in this event, because this is one thing, illness, you don't even know that you have that actually, if, at the end of the day. So get to know something. I think I'm quite sure you'll lead a fantastic life. Then on 5th of July, this is not to be missed event. We really showcase what achievement MMA has done over the period. MMA award function and the AGM is held, to be held on 5th of July. We also have a prelude at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We have a managerial excellence conference where the winners of the MMA award for managerial excellence will be showcasing their award. We have got some outstanding winners this time. Top-notch companies in India are the winners, and we will be making a presentation on what made them win this coveted award. And the award function is going to happen at 6 o'clock in the evening. It's a fully packed event for that evening. Do come. I'm quite sure you won't be disappointed. We have 2 outstanding speakers will be talking to you and also giving us the award. Mr. Narendran is the CEO and Managing Director of Tata Steel, is here, going to be here with us. And the guest of honor is Josh. And we have various events. We are launching a special issue mandate. For the first time, we are launching MMA book actually. We are publishing a book. Soon MMA will start publishing many events, so that many people want to publish this. Don't have to go run around. Come to MMA, we'll publish your thing. You're going to be a great author, you want to do it, we'll launch it also for you. The idea is you want to encourage people to read and encourage to do right, because you've got phenomenal. I know many of you are cat on the wall thinking whether to write or not to write. Come, do this, you'll be. So this is happening on the 5th. Please do come as our guest and come and see the achievements, what you have done all those years. It's all possible only because of your 100% support and the team behind MMA is the managing committee. Then on 18th of July, we have event on digital safe payments and cyber security issues. 22nd, we have success story of which is gone. Again, we have Naveen going to be coming with Balasubramaniam. Conversation is again Notion printers. We've done some phenomenal work in the area of printing. Then on 25th July, we have another Unleashing the Inner Potential, Cultivating Mental Part 2. We have lined up program till August. Now I won't take any more of your time. Coming to today's event, navigating change, emerging trends in real estate regulation and its impact on the industry. Because I have gone through this building, this property. So I know how much you have to be aware of the rules, regulations, and guidelines. It will help you smoothly because we take such a big decision to invest huge amount, but we don't do the due diligence by investing small amount to understand are we doing the right thing. Then that's where Aarti, thanks to Aarti, Aarti is a senior partner from Shardul Amachand, Aarti Lakshminarayan. She suggested, why can't we do that? When I requested, why can't we do even evening seminar? We'll tell the people what the recent regulations, how does it do, and so that people can guide. And we have a large number of viewers watching the program live will immensely benefit by this. And she right away agreed. And today the event is there. Ladies and gentlemen, we have again outstanding leader today to come and deliver the keynote address and be the chief guest. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hand together to welcome distinguished chief guest for this evening, Mr. Sri Sunil Kumar IPS. He is a member, former Director General of Police, member RERA, and I also have Aarti. She is a partner for this event as a knowledge partner, and we have our own Mr. Mahalingam, President of Madras Administration. I request to all of you to please take your place on the dais. We have a two sessions of this event. The initial session, the chief guest will deliver a keynote address. Before that, Aarti will share what made us do this event and clear overview. And before that, the president will give the welcome and formal introductory. I request to please take your place on the dais. Maybe warm round of applause for chief guest of the family. Before I call upon Mr. Mahalingam to deliver the formal welcome and introduction, you all know Mali is the president of MMA and he is also director of TSM Group of Companies, distinguished alumnus from NIT and also from IIM Calcutta, and over 35 years experience, and he's seen all the businesses, what can be done. He's one person who is a multifaceted, multi-talented person whom I come across, and he's been a great source of help and support to MMA. Now I request Mali to please deliver the formal welcome address. Mr. Mali.
Good evening, everybody. Very, very warm welcome to all of you. It's on last 2 days were cool, so I think it's hotter today. So warm welcome is an order, I guess. Great evening to all of you. It is indeed my pleasure to deliver the welcome address of this unique discussion on national navigating change, emerging trends in the real estate regulations and their impact on industry. I consider it a privilege to welcome all of you this evening. I wish to welcome the distinguished chief guest, Mr. Sunil Kumar, IPS, former DGP and chairman in charge Tamil Nadu RERA, Tamil Nadu, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, who has so kindly consented to be here this evening. Real honor for us, sir. Thank you so much and a privilege for us. It's sharing the stage with you is a rare honor for me. Thank you. Thanks, Aarti, also. Also welcome Mr. Jerry Kingsley, a head strategic consultant and value risk advisory for JLL. Thank you, Mr. Kingsley, for coming. I think you are the gurus of real estate, so you know the markets best, so your inputs are going to be invaluable for us. Mr. Sridharan Swaminathan, Managing Director, Sabari Foundation and Construction, India Private Limited, and Vice President, CREDAI National. You're going to give us the developer side of the story today, sir. Thank you. I think your inputs are going to be, again, invaluable. I think RERA, I think all of us will agree, was one of the most landmark reforms in the real estate industry and development industry over the last few years. Whether it is from the perspective of the customer who was getting projects delayed and had nowhere to go to, I think RERA made sure that between the customer and the developer, they're mutually accountable, and any delays in development were monitored and compensated for in case there were delays. Actually, it did a great thing in that it made the more compliant and complying developers stand out and made sure the developers were not complying, paid a price for it. It's very good for the customer, overall, everything. The other big thing that RERA did was in terms of the escrow account, because customers are always afraid of their money was being used for the project they paid the money for or being used otherwise. So that also created a lot more transparency. And the other big thing in which I think Chennai faced it less, I think other parts, in terms of how the apartments sold or properties were sold on square footage, whether it's carpet area, there's no consistency or transparency because common area and we don't know what you're paying for and what you're getting. I think RERA took care of all this in a very, very good way. It has evolved. I'm sure there were teething issues on both sides, but I think now it's settled down thanks to people like you, Mr. Kumar. So I think all it's been It has streamlined the industry, brought a lot more transparency. I'm sure made the developers also a lot more confident and streamlined, and the customers mostly more confident of buying real estate. I think you'd agree, sir, and I think it's a great thing. We have a great panel here, and I think we look forward to the evening for the record of people. I think few numbers about MMA founded in 1956, 8,000 members, 10 chapters, 14 times running, the best local management association in the country. So I think MMA that has largely possible thanks to events like this, where dignitaries like you and celebrities like you come and speak here, and the wonderful team led by his group captain, more than group captain, captain of MMA, who has made this happen in a big way. He and his team have done a wonderful job and kept the MMA flag flying. So I'm sure it's going to be a great evening. We need to thank our partners, CAS, also for supporting in this initiative. They've supported us. A lot of the activities are possible only with their support in many ways. So looking forward to a great thought-provoking evening. I've come here not just as president, but I'm very, very interested in real estate and what's happening there. Thanks all of you for coming. Looking forward to a great thought-provoking. I'm sure all of us, at the end of the day, whether we are developers or customers, we'll go a lot wiser in our real estate decisions. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Mali. It's great insights. And last week I read an article. I know how many of you read in Economic Times. Buy a property or rent a home, actually. Very interesting article. You must read that, and if you read that article, 100% you would attend the program today. Anyway, now coming to a thing, let me have the privilege of introducing Aarti Lakshmi Narayanan. She's a partner, Shradha Lamachan Mangaldas Company, and she's specialized in general corporate real estate and dispute resolutions, and over 22 years of experience. She has played a key role in major real estate transactions and advised clients and compliance, FDI law, land allocation, much more. And she is a graduate in BL from Madras Law College, and also emerged as a lawyer in real estate and chambers and partners from 2017. I now request Aarti to share her thoughts and overview of the seminar.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure being here today. I thank everybody for coming here on a government holiday. I know it's tough. Firstly, I'd like to thank Mr. Sunil Kumar, Chairman Veera, for agreeing to be part of this event and agreeing to give the keynote address. I'd like to thank Jerry Kingsley, and I'd also like to thank my fellow co-panelists for being here today, agreeing to take up this event. I'd like to thank Group Captain Vijay Kumar and Mr. Mahalingam, President MMA, for giving us this opportunity to host this event. Sorry, Mr. Sridharan, I'm sure you'll forgive me for that slip. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about RERA. Basically evaluate the performance of RERA in the last 7 years. On the same stage, I had done a presentation on RERA when it was introduced or enacted way back in 2017. So at that point of time, it was a mixed bag of emotions for all stakeholders. The most happiest, of course, eagerly awaited was the home buyers. For them, RERA was much anticipated in terms of the kind of protection RERA offered to provide. The developers and promoters looked at it with a little bit of apprehension in terms of how this would restrict business as such. So in that sense, we're just going to examine first a little bit on what RERA has offered us in the last 7 years. Just to take you through a very short presentation. So RERA was notified on March 26, 2016 and subsequently adopted by almost all states. In Tamil Nadu, the rules were notified on 22nd June 2017. So the main objective of RERA was to protect home buyers, safeguard their interests, to promote transparency in the real estate sector, especially in the residential and commercial real estate sector, and to ensure there is some sort of uniformity and standardization in the practices followed in all states when it came to, following a standard set of documentation, a standard process when it came to buying apartments and also selling undivided shares in the land. And also there was a real estate authority that was established to handle exclusive disputes that arose between homeowners and, promoters. So this is how RERA started, and let us look at the key persons under the Act. So the key people or the players in this Act are allottee, who is, any person to whom a plot, apartment, building is sold or transferred but does not include a tenant. A tenant here, of course, now this is more a tenant taking a lease on short-term basis. Promoter, again, anybody who causes to construct any apartment building or, convert any building into apartments for the purpose of selling it. And it includes developers, co-developers, co-promoters, landowners, and as recently also, lenders and investors. And real estate agents, again, if you look at it, real estate agents are people who offer to negotiate buying and selling of apartments. And they were also required to be regulated and registered under this Act. The RERA authority, which is the chief authority that exercises power and performs functions under this Act. We have a central advisory council as well as an appellate tribunal to handle all disputes arising out of, RERA, basically appellate forum from RERA. So the key features of RERA are very quickly, projects are required to be registered. Any project which is over 500 square meters and which is over 8 apartments are required to be registered. Ongoing projects, at that point of date, there was a cutoff date. Anything after that particular date, May 1st, 2017, where a completion certificate was not obtained, was required to be registered under the RERA. And RERA basically covered the entire project. If a project was developed in multiple phases, each phase could be registered as a separate project under the RERA. Projects that didn't require registration are basically anything that is industrial where, or any other project which does not involve a selling component. So post-registration, the process of registration involved filing an application. Details of the project had to be disclosed. So there's a lot of disclosure norms under the RERA. Disclosure by the developer or promoter. Details such as, what was the last 5 projects they promoted. Copies of all approvals. So basically under RERA, the prior approval from either CMDA or DTCP or any regulatory body was required. Development related approval was required before even registering a project. So that became mandatory. And, gone were the days when promoters, used to first market the project without even approvals in place. So this was a very important feature of RERA. Again, the carpet area of the apartments, the number of units, the floors, all the details, including the plans of a project had to be uploaded on a website. With all these key declarations being provided, there was a grant of registration, and the validity of that registration was linked to the period of development sanctioned by the developing authorities. If for any reason RERA, on their own account or through a complaint finds that a promoter has violated any of the provisions of the Act, then they could easily cancel the registration or the approval granted for any particular project. So moving on, again, the key features here are adherence to sanction plans. One of the basic requirements is the promoter will have to ensure that they adhere to sanction plans and ensure that they don't deviate or modify plans without the consent of the allottees. This was a very, very important aspect of RERA. And again, it dealt with failure or delays in handover of possession of the apartments or the entire project, in fact. So some of the repercussory actions were, one, the amount, anything paid by an allottee, if they choose to withdraw from the project, will have to be returned along with interest and compensation. And if an allottee desires to stay back in the project, then they were, the promoters were asked to pay penal interest for every month of delay in handover. Again, the penalties under RERA are pretty hefty. So, it was linked, in fact, to the project development cost itself. So, sorry. So there was, almost a 5 to 10% cost imposed in case of any critical defaults or disclosures. Okay. Again, another, interesting feature was, of course, pre-RERA, there was always this problem of funds from the allottee being sort of diverted to other projects. And to sort of prevent that, RERA, one of the regulations was that 70% of the funds had to be deposited in a RERA escrow account in a scheduled bank, and this amount had to cover the cost of construction and the land cost. And the money could be withdrawn only in proportion to that part of the project that is completed. So this was a very regulated sort of a withdrawal from this particular account, and the account was also required to be audited. The impact again is that this was to ensure that funds are not diverted and there is liquidity maintained by the promoters. So apart from this, there are other significant features like registration of real estate agents, the process of filing the complaints. Any home buyer or aggrieved party could file a complaint before the RERA, and there is a process that is followed. Any appeal from RERA could be heard before the RERA appellate tribunal, and thereafter can be heard even before the High Court. Some of the landmark judgments are, of course, the Nilkamal Realtors Suburban Private Limited, this is Union of India. In this matter, the constitutional validity of RERA itself was upheld. Another landmark judgment was the Pioneer Urban Land and Infrastructure Development case, where all allottees or home buyers, where a default had occurred by the developer, they could now be called a financial creditor under the IBC laws, which means that they are treated on par with secured creditors. So this was a huge victory to home buyers when it came to the IBC scenario and any action before NCLT. So again, another landmark judgment was by Maharera, which was subsequently taken before the Bombay High Court on long leases. Long leases of 99 years and plus perpetual leases were also brought within the ambit of RERA. This does not include any short-term leases, but again, this is an important feature. Recently, in 2024, the Madras High Court held that the Directorate of Town and Country Planning should not approve any change to the original plan without consent of 2/3 of the flat owners in any project. So this is a case where a leading builder, their DTCP approval had to be quashed because of modifications that were carried out without consent of the allottees. Again, another, judgment which was passed by the Haryana Real Estate Authority, which basically expanded the ambit of the term promoter to bring in even lenders. Again, this was something which, one has to sort of, consider whether lenders can be brought within the ambit of promoter, simply because, lenders, their job is to, finance a particular project. And their, expertise is not development or construction. So we are curious about thought process of why lenders are also brought within the ambit of promoters. So these are some of the major takeaways which I think we've already discussed. So this is just a general key sort of a refresher course on RERA once again. Thank you for listening very patiently. I'll hand over the mic to Mr. Sunil Kumar for the keynote address. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Before I call the chief guest to do that, let me have the privilege of introducing our distinguished chief guest. Sunil Kumar, IPS retired, is a distinguished officer of 1988, Tamil Nadu cadre officer, Director General of Police in Tamil Nadu. He was also awarded the Police Medal in 2004 and the President Police Medal in 2014. Post-retirement, he became the chairman in charge of Tamil Nadu Real Estate Regulatory Authority, overseeing the estate regulations in Tamil Nadu and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. An alumnus of JNU and Delhi University, is also an avid cricketer and hockey player. I'm presenting you the chairman of RERA. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Roti, Kapda aur Makan was a film in which Manoj Kumar starred, and the roti and Kapda were well taken care of, while Makan was absolutely left to the mercy of in absolute disarray, without any transparency. And all this chaos which was prevailing in this sector, a big sector, very big sector, led to the formation of the RERA Act. This took several years and several rounds of deliberations and talks all over the country before this act was enacted. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to be here speaking before you on this very relevant subject, which is not only relevant today, but as the topic suggests, has a lot more relevance in the times to come. I'll first like to begin with a brief on what the Tamil Nadu RERA is doing, and then go on to the topic of the day. The emerging trends and impact on the industry. The RERA, at Tamil Nadu RERA, we register nearly 600 registrations in a month, which comes to roughly 20 a day. And if you leave the holidays, it's roughly 30 a day each working day, which means the 3 days that have gone by, which were holidays for us, tomorrow I'll have roughly 90 cases to handle. So that's the impact that is the result of the RERA Act coming into being. Before I begin, I would like to briefly sum up, briefly quote the first opening lines of the Act. The Act was very, very explained by Aarti. Now, the very first paragraph of the Act, it will be worthwhile reading it, primarily because it spells out the spirit of the Act. It says, and I quote, "An Act to establish the Real Estate Regulatory Authority for regulation and promotion of the real estate sector and to ensure sale of plot, apartment or building as the case may be, or sale of real estate project in an efficient, transparent manner and to protect the interest of consumers in the real estate sector and to establish an adjudicating mechanism for speedy dispute redressal and also to establish the appellate tribunal to hear appeals from the decisions, directions or orders of the Real Estate Regulatory Authority and the adjudicating officer and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto." This sums up, it has something for everyone. We were just told that it takes care of the interests of the buyers. Yes, it does. The 97% of the appeals, the complaints that come to us have the home buyer as a complainant, but there are cases where even where the complainant is a promoter. And that's what surprised me when I got my first case as a promoter, as a complainant. It was surprising, but the Act says a aggrieved party can lodge a complaint. And if the aggrieved party happens to be a promoter, then the complainant becomes the promoter. I'm happy to share with you that the steps envisaged in the RERA Act, the acts to be done by the state as a follow-up, were all carried out in Tamil Nadu. And very soon, a few days from today, we'll be completing 7 years of the adoption of the RERA Act in the state on the day on which the RERA rules were promulgated. The RERA as authority was formed. Real estate, the REIT, the TN REIT was formed, the tribunal authority. And the last thing that was left to be formed, which was supposed to be as per the directions of the Act, was making the real estate authority work online. I'm very happy to share from the month of March 1st this year, we have gone totally online, and the RERA works absolutely online. All complaints, all registrations are done online now, which is a big leap forward, and perhaps for end-to-end online, perhaps we may be one of the few who have done it. The volume that the TN RERA handles is phenomenal. We would be only falling behind maybe Telangana, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and maybe to some extent Gurgaon and Noida, the Noida RERA. Otherwise, we can boast of having a wonderful, a booming real estate economy, and where, as I just suggested, about 7,000 cases are being registered every year. The Real Estate Authority, the RERA Act has segregated, primarily deals with three aspects: the promoter as the promoter, the allotee, the real estate agent. The real estate agent is not much to be talked about because somehow it has not taken up the way it was envisaged, and we have dwindling numbers of the people who have registered as real estate agents. Perhaps something needs to be done there. It is more misused than used. The other two categories are the main players: the promoter and the allotee. And the real estate regulatory, the RERA Act takes care of them in details. The promoter, the first step that the promoter is required to do, after he gets the planning permissions from all the relevant agencies, it then comes to us. And we are the custodian of the interests of both the promoter and the allotee thereafter. The main thing that is done at the time of the registration for those who want to buy a property, it will interest them more than those who want to sell. This is the stage where the promoter lays down all that is there in the project. The area that he is selling, it is now called super built up area. The area that he is selling, whatever amenities they are offering, the titleship of the land, so everything pertaining to that project, the date of handing over, which is so very important, everything pertaining to the project there is frozen there. It is recorded, and once it gets registered, it is a sense of, it is a type of authenticity the project gets, and it is uploaded on the website, besides the promoter getting a copy of it. And anything that the complainant, anything that the allotee demands after that will be based on this. Will be based on this in the sense that whatever amenities, whatever has been promised in this is frozen, and that is what becomes the right of the allotee. And this is what something which one has to see very, very properly before you enter into a property. This is something which must be seen properly by everybody. And you can do that by entering into the RERA website and selecting the project that you want to do to go for. The role of the LRT remains restricted to ensuring that he follows the agreements, the terms and conditions of the agreements, as also he makes the timely payments, the stage-wise payments, so to say. A third party, which has not been mentioned, but without which the real estate does not exist, is the financer. The financer has not been defined in the Act, but many a times when the complaints are being made, the financiers are taken in as a party. They are taken in as a respondent, and I suggest it must be done, because many times we see the financiers have not performed the way they should be doing, and there's a lot left to be done from their side. In fact, I have personally passed a couple of orders against the banks as well. The rate of interest is not what matters, whether it is the promoter or the LRT. By and large, they have not been too concerned about rate of interest. They go in for the property, and it is primarily the mismanagement. You swallow more than what you can chew from both the parties, whether it is LRT or the promoter. That is what leads to problems. And that's how experience is. And primarily when the promoter does a mistake, it is seen that in this particular industry, it becomes very, very difficult for him to come back on the track again. A lot of efforts are required to be made, and it is a difficult task. It is much more difficult than running it properly. Once the project is registered, the RERA continues to watch the project. There are several ways by which it does it. There is something called quarterly progress report. Every quarter, at the end of every quarter, a progress report is given, which indicates the health of the project. Analysis of that is done, and by that we ensure that the project is proceeding the way it was envisaged and moves towards completion. And wherever it has not been done, notices are given, and in case it is not found to be satisfactory, the section 7 is resorted to, where the registration done is revoked, of course after giving adequate opportunity. And the same as a notice has been given to one of the very, very, very big builders in Chennai right now. Let us see what reply he gives. But this is what the Act is so empowered to ensure that the RERA, the authority, becomes a watchdog to protect the interests of the parties involved in it. The potential of this sector. According to a report of the Reserve Bank, INR 2 trillion has been extended as bank loans from various banks in the year 2022. This speaks of the volumes of the potential it has. I mentioned in the beginning roti kapda or makan. Roti kapda has been taken care of. Makan now it is a priority area. We have the PM Awas Yojana, that is for those who cannot afford it. And more than that, the finances are being sort of regularized, and we have the first big platform called the Real Estate Investment Trust, which acts as a platform for investment for real in the field of real estate. The prospects of increase would also be reflected in the figures of registration that I like to share with you. It was when in 2017 it began, the total number of registrations that year was 280. It went up to 10,558 in 2022, which was primarily due to the government's policy of regularization. A lot of unorganized, unregistered schemes were regularized, so the number was high. But normally it remains in the vicinity of about 7,000 and odd. This year again, about 3,000 projects have been registered in the first 5 months of the year, which again projects it to about the same number by the end of the year. Total number of projects registered so far is about 24,000 from 2017. That the formation of the authority and the implementation of the RERA Act has shown results would be very clear from the figures of arbitration. In 2021, we had some 500 complaints registered in that year, whereas in 2022 it was 409, almost in the same range. But this year, in the first 5 months, it is 116, which projects is much lesser than the earlier figures. So on the one hand, while the registrations are going up, the arbitration is going down, the number of complaints is coming down, which only shows that the desired results are coming our way. And this is a very, very good sign for the industry, wherein the compliance has started pouring in. And of these cases which are registered, the main complaints still pertain to ongoing projects, which means projects which had started before 2017. The compliance level after 2017 is much, much higher. And it is really a delightful news to hear that this one act has made that unorganized, opaque, lacking transparency, unfavorable to the buyer. A situation like that has totally transformed now, and we have a level playing field in this particular direction. The sector further has a lot to do. There is no U-turn which is likely to come. The one which the industry suffered during the pandemic is not likely to come up again. And I'm sure the industry has a very, very bright future, lot to look up to. The financial year 2024, 24 and 25 is likely to see a big rise in the offering unprecedented opportunities in this field. Another good thing, which is an encouraging thing for the future of the industry, is that the housing affordability rate has climbed up to 3.3 in the year 2023, as against 3.2 in 2022 and much lower before that. So the industry is now in very is heading towards a very stable setup, which is a pre-requirement for any industry to take off. And Tamil Nadu can boast of doing so very well. And from the RERA side, from the authority side, we have taken a lot of steps. There was a time a couple of years back when a registration of a project could take something about 6 to 7 months, which now happens in about 6 to 7 days. We also now started a system wherein if there are some ambiguities in a project for registration, the promoter himself is called over, and whatever rough edges are there, they are sorted out then and there. And in case everything is all right, the approval happens across the table. One very bad thing which was happening for the sector in Tamil Nadu was any big project taking off, you'll find some few fellows will be giving some anonymous complaints, or sometimes even by name, wherein they'll make some false allegation, which was basically to prevent the promoter from carrying on his work. Anybody in this field will know every day is a loss of money. The interest rates are so high. Every day it results in loss of money. So now what we have now started is, whenever the project, such complaints come relating to a project, if the records submitted are all right, the project is registered and the complaint so given is marked to the concerned agency, whichever is involved, so as to see that if there's something made out, we always have the section 7 to revoke the registration done by them. So in short, I like to sum up by saying that the RERA Act has paved the way for this industry to move rocket forward and climb to heights. The state is developing. The state, all over the state, there is development being seen. And before I conclude, what I see as a business opportunity here in this state, there are a lot of states in North India which are seeing increasing pollution. And I have friends, and otherwise also, it's in my knowledge, people are relocating. We have people coming to Coimbatore, shifting from Delhi. There are people like that. And maybe it depends upon the real estate industry here in Tamil Nadu to market themselves in such a way that they exploit that and attract them to the state, which can offer them anything that they look for. Any type of job opportunity is available in Tamil Nadu. Any type, we have quiet hills which does not have the extreme climates of the North Indian hills. We have quite well-developed cities, medically so well advanced. Maybe this is one opportunity which the real estate industry should try and exploit. Wishing the industry furthermore impetus and furthermore success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Kumar, for the thought-provoking. So much insights, especially affordability, which has gone up, availability, and so much of faith in the system. Now, I request the President to step forward, the memento. Have a panel of this. Thank you, sir. We have over 650 people watching it online. As usual, if you have any questions, please share your question on the number which is there. People who are here, the questions, with the question slip available, all questions are only through question slips. If you have any questions, tell my people team. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have an outstanding panel discussion this evening. And let me invite formally the distribution panel for this evening. We have got really outstanding panel. Jerry Kingsley, Head of Strategy Consulting, Value Risk from City Leads Capital Market, Chennai. And also we have Sridharan Swaminathan, Managing Director, Sabari Foundation, Construction India Private Limited. And we also, with us online, he joined us this evening is Ardik Chandra, Vice President, Kotak Realty Fund. I request the distribution panel to please take a place on the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm round of applause to the distribution panel. And Ardik has joined us online from Mumbai. Thanks. Before I hand over the session to each panel will share their thoughts. Thereafter, they'll take a free-flowing conversation with Aarti. And let me have the privilege of introducing the distributed panel for this evening. Jerry Kingsley is the Head of Strategy Consulting, Value Risk Advisory. City Lead Capital Markets. Jerry is also a risk advisory from JLL and serves in the City Lead Capital Market in Chennai, and over 21 years of experience. Jerry began his career with JLL in 2005 and has since become trusted advisor on various real estate sectors, including office, residential, industrial, and he oversees over 60 members across 7 cities and has been recognized for his leadership expertise. Jerry frequently shares his insights, especially the real estate forum and columns in a number of magazines. Jerry, warm welcome to you. It's a pleasure to have you this evening. Let me also have the privilege of introducing Sridharan Swaminathan. He is a managing director of Sabari Foundation Concession Private Limited, vice president of CREDAI and CREDAI National, and with his background in the finance and law, he began his career in 1992 as a stockbroker and has since developed over 3 million square feet residential and commercial space. He has served as a vice president of CREDAI Madras Stock Exchange, also member of State Housing Policy Committee, Tamil Nadu. Sridharan has held very leadership position in CREDAI, including the chairman of CREDAI Tamil Nadu and head of policy advocate in CREDAI. There could be nobody better than him to share the insights from the builder's point of view. Very welcome to Sridhar. Pleasure to have you with us. We also have with us this time online to share the financial perspective, Mr. Hardik Chandra, Vice President, Kotak Realty Fund. Hardik is also done his CFA from USA and also a chartered accountant profession and very, very versatile person in the area of finance. He will be sharing insights on financial impact relevant to real estate. Now over to Aarti to take it forward.
Thank you so much. Before we start off our discussion, may I request Jerry to just give us a brief overview of, how real estate sectors have performed in the last year?
Good evening, everyone. Before we go into the panel discussion, what I thought we'll do is for us, as a company, we kind of track the real estate market very closely. So to give probably a 36,000 feet overview on what's happening in the real estate market, because if you look at the trends in the industry, those will drive the regulations also, which we are seeing, right? So India overall continues to be in a very, very strong position as far as the economy is concerned. We are a global company. We've got offices in all the countries. So when I talk to my colleagues in China, for instance, the market is definitely not good. When we talk to our colleagues in Europe, the conditions are very, very lukewarm. Same as for Americas, right? So in that way, we are kind of very fortunate to be in an economy where we are seeing a lot of growth. And, this is continuing to, drive a lot of investments here. And, as per the economic stats, we're going to be the third largest economy, maybe in another, 2 to 3 years. One of the big drivers is obviously the young working population, which we have in India. A lot of infrastructure initiatives which are continuing to drive the country, right? The second largest road network after the United States, fourth largest rail network globally. A lot of focus on digital payments, which is driving a lot of, investments on the digital side. Good startup ecosystem. And obviously, good university enrollments, right? Which is continuing to attract a lot of companies into India. All these kind of play a very important role, although we are discussing residential here. Other sectors kind of drive demand in the residential sector. So competitive advantage, we spoke about a lot of investment focus, favorable demographics, a lot of domestic demand, structured regulated sector, which we will see the tax reforms, right? So these are some of the broad pillars, which we are seeing as far as the economy is concerned. The different sectors, which is the pillar of the real estate industry. Office sector. India is the largest office market globally. So every year we've got about 45 million square feet of space which gets transacted in India. And this amount of demand is the largest globally, right? So every year, the amount of office space which is coming here in terms of new supply, new demand is very, very high. In terms of equivalent, maybe every 3-4 years, we are building a new Washington. Every 7-8 years, we are building a new New York, right? So that's the amount of investment which is happening as far as the office space is concerned. Residential market, again, because of the investments which are happening in office, more white collar jobs coming into the market, because of which more investments happening in the residential sector. Retail, again, all of us like to shop, spend time in the weekends in shopping malls. So this is again a trend which we are seeing, not only big shopping malls, we are seeing a lot of neighborhood malls which are coming up. And we are seeing a lot of investments on the retail side, even in tier 2, tier 3 cities. Logistics and manufacturing, because of whatever we have seen in the pandemic and China going through their own challenges. We are seeing a lot of investments happening in the manufacturing and the logistics sector as well, which is driving a lot of demand. And all of us are using, tablets. The data consumption has increased. Data privacy policy in India or each country is ensuring that there is demand for data centers as well, right? So these are some of the broad sectors which are driving real estate investments, and all of them will have an impact on the regulatory framework as well. This is a very interesting slide, which is very relevant to what we are discussing now. So we're kind of dividing this into till 2014 and after 2015, right? We are seeing exponential increase in real estate investment, foreign direct investment, which is coming into the sector, primarily because of a lot of regulatory reforms. For instance, we spoke about RERA, which we will be discussing now, has given a lot of investor confidence, right? For all these real estate projects, these are very capital intensive, a lot of capital which is required. We'll hear from Hardik as well on how the lender views it. But regulatory reforms like RERA, for instance, has given a lot of confidence when there are investors who are overseas, who are looking into the real estate market, right? We had GST, we had IBC, and few others, which is giving a lot of transparency to the sector. As a company, we track the real estate market in terms of transparency, and we grade different countries as opaque, low, semi-transparent, transparent, right? So India is consistently moving up the transparency index. The last report which we did was in 2022, where India was a semi-transparent market, and we are expecting this to improve in the coming years as well. A lot of foreign funds investing in the market, in the real estate market, which is driving investment. Apart from that, a lot of Indian lenders as well coming in and making investments in the sector. So especially last year, when many of the global funds, when they went slow in terms of investment, a lot of domestic capital providers stepped in and they continue to drive investment, which is evidently seen. Again, a lot of foreign capital coming into the sector across different segments: office, retail, hotel, warehousing, data centers, right? We are seeing a lot of Japanese investors coming into the market. So it's not only about one location, but India continuing to attract investors across different genre, across different countries. Sir spoke about REITs. So REITs, again, is something which will be a segment which will attract a lot of investor focus. Currently, we have 4 REITs, 3 in the office side, 1 in the retail side. We are expecting more REITs to come in. When more REITs come in, more regulatory changes or more regulatory transparency would be required. And what is interesting is some of the REITs here have done the full cycle, right from coming in at investment stage, development, seeing the property grow in terms of rental appreciation, and they've taken an exit as well, right? So whenever exit happens, it shows that the regulatory framework in the country is very transparent. Blackstone recently had an exit of their REIT, and that gave a lot of confidence to investors that you can not only come into the country, invest, see your returns and exit as well, right? So that's goes a long way as far as the regulatory framework in the country is concerned. And we are seeing a lot of investments happening across different segments from different institutional players, right? So with this, I'll close, and then probably we can go into the panel discussion.
Thank you for that insightful overview, Jerry. So, Mr. Sridharan, we'll start with you. A quick question. So, like we mentioned earlier, RERA was primarily introduced with the objective of protecting buyers. But, there seems to be an inherent bias towards promoters. In your view, how do you think promoters are handling this bias to protect their interests when it comes to RERA?
Hi, good evening to all. First, I would like to clarify that, this RERA, which was brought in, was not objected by the developers. I was there in the formation. When the rules were framed, I was one of the parties for the formation of the rules, along with one of your colleague advocates who was sitting with me, along with the housing secretary. There was no such objection. First, you have to understand RERA did not come because of what happened in the south. I would like to make it very clear. What happened in some part of the country was the main reason RERA was brought in. That legacy even now continues. The legacy of stalled projects even now continues. And whatever Mr. Sunil spoke about now, and whatever cases that you are quoting in your speech is all about the legacy of what has happened before 2017. So principally, the developers welcomed. Actually, because of RERA, a lot of financial institutions now come forward to support the developers. It's other way around. If the developers want to go for a big funding, it is once it's RERA registered, the financial institutions come forward. So there is no such negativity or anything against RERA. It is just that over a period of time, now RERA has been acting, people say, because I had for the entire nation, I had the RERA. So I know what it is. People feel that, RERA is only for protecting the customer. It's not so. RERA is a regulator on all the stakeholders. This is one of the major demands we have been making. Forget the legacy of stalled projects. The stalled projects have to be, now they have also formed one Swami fund, which is being managed by SBI Caps to bring out all the stalled projects and bring it out. Apart from that, when there was the changeover, the RERA, pre-RERA period and the post-RERA period, there were a lot of projects which were uploaded in the website saying that these are the projects which are ongoing projects, which as of that day did not need a registration. But subsequently, once it all went to court, went to appellate authority, they said you have to register that also. That is a legacy which is continuing now. But on the present text, from 2017 onwards, if you see the projects going on, we do not find any major complaints, because the first complaint is majority of the builders are registered with CREDAI, and CREDAI is a self-regulatory body. First, we have a mechanism of a redressal. We have a redressal mechanism only where it is not sorted out by CREDAI, then it goes to RERA. That is how we are functioning. But what has happened is, from 17, what we are seeing is, this was pointed out to the former, the Union Housing Minister in almost 3-4 meetings which we had with him, stating that please bring all stakeholders under RERA. Unless otherwise you bring in all the stakeholders, the completion of the project will not take place. I can finish the structure, my person will finish the structure, he will complete everything, but he will not get his completion certificate. The completion certificate can be delayed due to various reasons. He needs to get a compliance from the fire service. That compliance will not come. There is no time frame for that, which we are parallelly taking up with the state government. But as an authority, RERA is not only for protecting the rights of the buyer. It is also to protect and take all the organizations which are involved in this industry to be collectively under RERA. Only then RERA can be successful. Now, if I don't get a completion certificate, I cannot deliver the project. In all aspects, I would have done. If there is a mistake, then it's okay. If I'm correct in all aspects also, there is a delay. There are peculiar instances happening which everyone should know. You go for a EB connection. Suddenly, electricity board says you have so much. You have to give a piece of land as you have to gift it to electricity board. You have transferred all the UDS to the customers. Where will I go and gift? If you don't give the land, he is not giving power. So there we have to go to court separately. These are the areas which we have been representing to the central government. This was taken up in the Central Advisory Committee also, that all these, the entire agencies involved in completing a project should fall under RERA. It is not only because of financial. Financial is full responsibility of the developer alone. We make it very clear. There is no second say in that. As a developer, we only feel if there is a default from the developer, he is fully responsible due to financial. Even if there is a delay because of materials or labor shortage and all that, we somehow manage. But which is away the scope, which goes beyond the scope, has to be under one body. If RERA is able to regulate everyone, I think RERA will become very successful and that will make client very, very happy.
Fair point there, Mr. Sridharan. So would you propose some sort of amendment be made to the Act to include the other stakeholders and probably impose some timeline for giving such approvals? Is that a possibility we can?
Yeah, this is what we have been asking. This has to be done at the national level, at the union level. This we have been repeatedly insisting the union government, housing ministry, that this has to be done. Bring in all the authority. Like we are saying, okay. But if you go to Delhi, Noida has got a very peculiar problem. This was brought up by them. In Noida, the land itself is allotted by the Noida authority. One government allots, other government questions. Then what happens to the client? The purchaser is a bona fide customer, believing the allotment he has bought. Where will he go? So we have asked that Noida authority also should be brought under RERA. So there is a single body which can regulate. Unless otherwise this is done, majority of the complaints have come down. We are very, very happy about it. But even now there are issues coming up to us only because of that. Lot of issues coming because of delay and not handing over in time is because of all these aspects, which can be. So amendment is needed. And it is also almost 6-7 years since the Act was brought in. And after that, all the states formed the rules. And wherever the rules were slightly contrary, see, you give independence to the state to form the rule. And tomorrow if the rule is challenged, the rule is set aside. So each state has got a different rule. The rules are being interpreted in a different way. The Act is being interpreted in a different way. That has created a lot of problems. So we have made a comprehensive list of all these changes which need to be taken up, amended, because there are two thing problems. It's a new Act. The Act needs to be amended to make it more strong for the customer. I think this will happen. Maybe with this new government that's formed in, we'll be able to get it.
Understood, sir. Thank you so much. If I can get Mr. Hardik here. Is Mr. Hardik, can you hear me?
Hi, Ati. Yes.
Hi, Hardik. Thank you so much. I know you're traveling at the moment. Thank you very much for being part of this discussion. So Hardik, from a lender's perspective, what are those key challenges that a lender faces as a result of the implementation of RERA or some of the provisions?
First of all, thank you so much for having me, Ati. Thanks, Jerry, Mr. Sridharan, and Mr. Mahalingam for having me on this panel. I think Mr. Sridharan has really pointed out some of the key aspects which are being discussed in terms of having all the parties, all the stakeholders on a one common portal, one common Act. Speaking from the lenders fraternity, I think RERA has been a tremendous inflection point in changing the entire industry, bringing transparency in dealings, bringing financial discipline in the developers, corporatization of the developers, which brings a lot of confidence from the lenders, as well as a few nitty-gritties where consistency in areas, as Jerry was mentioning, that whether it is a super built-up area or carpet areas and all, so those consistencies have really brought in. Overall, RERA has boosted lenders' confidence tremendously. Having said that, few of the key concerns or where lenders are facing an issue with some of the provisions of the RERA, is, I think, what Mr. Sridharan pointed out, consistency across the states, right? There are a lot of rules and regulations which are being followed differently in each of the states, different interpretations which people are having against those rules. So that is becoming a challenge for the lenders in how each state is being dealt into. To highlight one specific provision, right, like a 70-30 rule, right, where RERA provides that 70% of the funds needs to be deposited in a separate account, right? And it also provides that the funds after completion of the projects are available only for the developer, and no lien or charge can be created on such account, right? So from a lender's point of view, where the funds are being invested in a project, having that control is very critical in all points of the project, including escrow of the cash flows. So that becomes very critical, having control throughout. So one of the lenders' request is, after the completion of the project, RERA should allow creation of charge on that 70% escrow account. I think few of the states have clarified or given certain relaxations on that rule, but that needs to be consistently implemented across the country.
Thank you so much, Hardik. One question which, I wanted to check with you in terms of, stalled projects, which, like the classic case of Amrapali, where, several homeowners had invested and the project, the promoters had defaulted, went before court and NCLT, a whole lot of things that were happening there. So in your view, how are lenders impacted with stalled projects, as well as, homeowners also being now termed as financial creditors?
Correct. That was a major determinant to the lenders, where home buyers are now classified as financial creditors. Lenders also consider the interest of the project as primary responsibility, that the home buyers should get their flats, their hard-earned money invested. Majority of the lenders think that the delivery of the project is the most critical aspect. If the project is delivered, all the stakeholders will be happy. However, with these home buyers considered as financial creditors, as well as another provision of RERA, right, where any change in the plan, in approved plan or modification of the project, requires a 2/3 consent of the allottees, right? There is no time limit specified that by when the consent of the allottees will be received. And as Mr. Sridharan pointed out, every day is a loss of money, correct? So there is no time limit mentioned. Lenders want to invest in such stalled projects to get a resolution and maybe require a modification of the approved plan so that the project may become financially viable. But because of these timelines, uncertain timelines of getting consent from all the allottees, lenders stay away from such projects. Also, to answer your specific questions on the NCLT route, we are very wary of getting into such projects where there are multiple home buyers. Certain home buyers may have different interest in their mind, which can really delay the entire IBC process also, as we are seeing in Amrapali, JP, Supertech, etc. So lenders are very concerned about getting into such projects, and that's why that shift in funding has gone to those very select specific developers, builders, where lenders have much more confidence of getting the project through.
Thank you so much. That's a fair point. Jerry, to you, what are the best practices real estate consultancy firms can sort of adopt to improve credibility?
Yes, Aarti. So, through this regulatory act, if you look at RERA itself, right? So, the firm which I represent, we cannot touch the entire project life cycle, right? Right from the initial advisory stage, right? When projects are getting listed, we kind of provide inputs to developers, investors, lenders, right? There's a lot of project monitoring, which we kind of do through the entire project life cycle. Through this transparency which is coming in, we do provide a lot of customized market research, trends, projections, based on the data which we have, we can track based on the data which is available. We also kind of support in terms of project marketing and sales once the approvals are in place. In the event of having any disputes, again, simple things like, valuations which is being done, the viability which is being done and things like that is kind of supported. And also we provide project management, project monitoring services to ensure that fund utilization for the respective projects is done in a timely manner and ensuring that complete progress update is done, checking the approvals and things like that.
Understood, Jelly. Thank you so much. Mr. Sridharan, quick question for you. So typically most complaints made by home buyers are often dealing with, delays in completion, handover of possession. What in your view is, the typical reasons for such delay? You did mention one or two earlier, but if you can just elaborate a little bit on what causes these delays for a promoter and how can it be effectively handled?
See, the major cause of the delay can happen if the developer oversteps from his commitment. That should be one of the main reasons. That is why we always propagate the buyer has to know who's the seller. He should know who's the company. That we have been making it very clear. So that is how we operate. But that percentage has come down drastically now after introduction of RERA. Everybody is answerable and they all know what is going to be the consequences. So that we do not find any major reason going there. But half the time it happens to, there is some problem with the environmental clearance. They get the environmental clearance. Somebody goes to court on that EC, questions the, one person claiming to be a activist goes to the court, stalls the project. This is becoming a big menace for the developers. Wherever environment clearance is there, we advise the members to take all extra precaution before doing anything. Any small mistake done, the project is getting stalled and there is a delay. So these are all the types of thing, people going to court, neighbor going to court. All this is causing a lot of problems. In fact, you will not believe there have been like what he was saying, in a group development, you take, there is a system where you can get, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. You do phase 1 and phase 2, you get completion certificate, they occupy. You start phase 3. If I have to do the concreting, the vehicle has to go, is allowed only in the night, and the vehicle has to go through the common road. The other two flats, blocks which has been occupied, the residents come to the road and say, we won't allow. Where do we go? There is a delay. So there is a multiplicity of problems, but in spite of all that, we try to come out. I'm telling you, variety of problems coming. Added with what I told you about completion certificate, all this is being handled. But the major is going to court. If any activist goes to court on some reason or other, any lacuna anywhere is causing a huge problem. On your PWD clearance, NOC from PWD, the conditions have to be fulfilled accurately or one of the local fellow goes to court. So this is an industry where you have to face lots of people. That is why now big developers say, let us do plotting and get out. So that we have no problem. So that is a level of, frustration that has set in. So in spite of all that, people are in the industry, they are delivering. Wherever comes, we interfere, CREDA interferes. We try to talk to the government and get things done for them to the extent possible. But as it is, we do not find any very big complaints coming in Chennai. We are very, very happy about it. In Chennai, we do not find anything. The handing over is happening in stages. Only 1 or 2 cases, there is a delay. We go and talk to the government and see to that it is sorted out.
Understood. In fact, I'd like to just recount a similar situation where a project was developed in phases. After there were first 4 phases done, the 2 remaining phases work was going on. Despite all the contracts clearly mentioning that, this is going to be a phase project, there's going to be, construction activity, trucks will pass by, and the allotee is required to bear with, all this activity for a particular period of time till project completion. Despite all those terms in the contract, I think we had some of the allottees who went to RERA to try and ensure that such.
Not only there are, they go to all departments, or they come and physically stop the truck. Right. See, when it comes to physically stopping the truck, then it becomes a law and order. So there are multiplicity of issues which need to be handled.
Right. And also, would you, one point is when it comes to project extensions, RERA is allowed to give extensions only in the case of force majeure, which is act of God or anything that happens due to natural calamities like fire or floods. It's interesting to note that labor issues, strikes, non-availability of material, all these are not part of, an event for extension. In your view, is that also something which you're trying to overcome?
Yeah, this is one of the major points which you have taken up with the Central Advisory Committee, that when there is an acute shortage due to some problem, that needs to be termed as a force majeure. If the cement companies stop supplying, or if they're going to jack up the prices by 200%, 150%, which happened, we had to boycott construction for 1.5 months. We stopped construction. If these things happen, these are all out of the control because there is no price escalation clause in the agreement. What is committed to the client is committed. So there is no price escalation. These are some of the clauses which are talking to the committee, Central Advisory Committee, for amendments to be done.
Understood, sir. Just one more question on under RERA, there are several cases or, actions for which compensation is payable. And, the penalties are also pretty huge because it's linked to the cost of the project itself. Do you think this sort of impacts the economic viability of a project when you're faced with such huge penalties? I mean, this is not just a deterrent anymore. You do see cases where penalties are slapped. So does this, challenge the viability of a project?
These penalties, most of them are all on the stalled projects, the legacy which are there. But some of the projects which could be completed because of the SWAYAM Fund, PMO, the scheme, and all that who have come in to support the scheme, these penalties become a deterrent to complete the project. Because of a set of small group of customers, the majority of the customers don't get the house. Because the developer's advocate will always say, he'll say, you go on an appeal. This will be a litigation going on for years and years. Ultimately, the house will not be delivered. The aim should be to deliver. Even if it's a stall project, we keep insisting that, you come to the table, talk, so that the home buyer gets his house. That should be the whole aim. Putting a huge penalty will be a very big deterrent. Penalty has to be there. I will not say no, because unless otherwise penalty is there, if it is not there, the scare will go away.
Understood.
But it should be reasonable. But what's happening now is putting in the project value, he will just put it and he will go to the court, which becomes a litigation. Home buyer will not get the house.
Understood. Thank you, sir. So I had a lot of questions, but looks like we've received more questions from the audience, both from our online viewers as well as those present here. So I've shared some of those questions with you. Jerry, if you can start.
So one of the question is, should I buy or rent a home, right? So I think it's a different question. It depends on various factors, right? It depends on the stage of the career in which you are in. What are the financial consideration? How are you looking at how well you've understood the market condition? Are you looking at only flexibility, or are you looking at stability and capital appreciation? What are your personal preferences and things like that, right? So it's not a straightforward answer which I can give unless we know the background or what is your outlook on the investment. But broadly speaking, definitely we are at a stage where demand is exceeding supply. Supply is definitely very low considering the amount of demand which each city in India is seeing. And definitely we are seeing consolidation of real estate developers, in terms of good quality supply. So, we would definitely say that in case if we're looking at a single investment in terms of stability of even rent, which we are looking at, buying a property could be one. But however, in case if you're just looking at flexibility, in case if you're in a very mobile job where, you would be moving from one city to another, you could consider an asset-light model as well.
I'd like to just answer a question which has come up. For a mixed project, commercial and residential, can UDS be kept separate for commercial and residential parts? Again, it all depends on how you've got your plan approval. If the plan is for a combined development of both residential, commercial, and it's part of a single plan, then technically or legally the UDS will be in the entire land area. Though by practice, what many developers do is try and restrict the UDS in terms of particular survey numbers under that particular development. So for example, if it's a residential development in the western part of the property, they'll try and keep UDS that is allocated or sold in that particular area. But legally, if it is a single, project, the UDS should be, it is indivisible and it should be in any part of the project. I hope I've answered that.
Question on how does RERA focus on transparency and accountability influence operational practices in real estate development? RERA has brought in all the transparency that is needed. Main is on the area. What is the built-up area is there. You will know what is your common area. So there is absolutely nothing to hide. The payments go into a escrow account, and the payments are being made by the customer only after seeing a physical what happens in the site. Otherwise, he need not pay. That is the best thing that has happened to it. And one more good thing is there used to be days on the launch day, the developer will not have any permissions on hand. He will launch the project and he will sell the project, which cannot happen now. It can only after the approvals are there, the RA approval is there, we allow them to launch the project. Otherwise, even in our Fair Pro, where we allow developers to have the stalls, without RERA registration, we do not allow anyone to showcase their projects. Fair. So there is absolute fairness. In that way, you should appreciate and congratulate RERA for doing that.
Sure.
So one more question is on digital transformation and how it could enhance transparency and efficiency in the real estate sector. So definitely digital investments, is kind of playing a pivotal role in terms of transformation of the entire sector. And this is something which we are seeing across all sectors, whether it is commercial, where so much of data is available. There is a lot of lending decisions which are also taken based on, market intel, which is available through the data which is available. And also it probably ensures faster approvals, right? Smarter contracts. And the amount of data which is there helps also in terms of investment decisions, in terms of predictive analysis and things like that as well, right? So overall, digital transformation is definitely ensuring that there is more transparency and overall efficiency in the real estate sector.
Okay. Question is, what legal challenges do developers face in implementing sustainable development mandates, and how can they navigate these challenges? So there are green ratings for buildings, but it's not mandatory. It again depends mostly to my knowledge, very large developers, try and achieve these green ratings for their buildings. Nowadays, it's become a trend for multinational companies to ask for buildings.
Commercial projects. Commercial.
Yes, commercially conscious. They like to take buildings that are more sustainable. But if you ask me why this is not implemented, the first thing is it's not legally required. Therefore, we need to see some amendments that are made or some legislation introduced to ensure that buildings are, constructed and maintained in a more sustainable fashion. So I think this is a very good question. Yeah.
This is actually now the discussions are on with the government on what should be the way to incentivize the developer to make it a green building, because there is a cost impact on that. So there is a discussion going on whether it's going to be on FSI or is it going to be on some other method that they're going to incentivize the developer to take up this green building. Talks are going on with the government.
Interestingly, I was just listening to one of the other developers, this is Brigade Constructions, and they were saying that almost all their projects are now, they target green ratings for their buildings.
Yeah. It's a self-regulatory. A lot of developers have started doing it.
I think on the states are providing that extra FSI as an incentive, 0.5 to 0.25 extra incentive for developers to achieve that green rating, IGBC rating, etc. So
in Tamil Nadu, we have still not done it. So we are negotiating with the government. It's more for the residential. Most of the commercial projects coming up in Chennai or Coimbatore are all green rated. Most of the projects, you can say 100%. It's only on the residential side, still there is a small.
I mean, I think if you give certain incentives like
stamp duty, not stamp duty, even like some FSI or something which is achievable FSI.
Yes.
So he need not pay for the premium FSI. That cost can go into the building, which will be for the green, to bring out a green building.
I think that will help. Sort of.
We are talking to the government. It should happen.
So the other question which has come is what are the emerging trends in the real estate regulation affecting the investment strategies? So definitely a lot of these regulations are affecting the strategies across different sectors. If you look at office, right, a lot of regulations in terms of real estate investment trust, REITs, as we spoke about. Currently, there is a draft stage of small and medium scale REITs, which is investments less than 500 crores, right? So that is something which we are seeing. So definitely from an office perspective, regulations, the transparency which is there is attracting more institutional capital into the country because they feel that office is something which is very, very safe. Logistics and industrial again, InvITs is something which is new. Where we are tracking the investment, the regulatory framework, closely. Residential, we've spoken about, the different regulation which is bringing in transparency.
Sure. Hardik, would you like to just contribute to this question as well? What are the key trends in real estate regulatory environment for the next 5 years?
I think Jerry aptly pointed out that REITs and InvITs are bringing in a lot of transparency and consistency even for retail investors to have that involvement as an investment in the real estate sector, and not only the guys who have a big check. At the same time, SEBI and RBI are also very proactively getting involved in bringing out regulations and checks on financial lenders as well as investors to prohibit malpractices. For example, the recent regulation which came in to prohibit banks and related parties investing for money in with the same developer through their AIF or any other entity. This was to stop the evergreening. This brings lot of transparency in the investment scenarios. Small SME REITs, which Jerry mentioned, will be a really game changer once it's implemented. This is to regularize the fractional ownership sales that were prevalent in the industry. As well as much more, I think RERA is bringing out new regulations along with IBC protecting the home buyers, that will help investors in the residential sector as well. And new sectors like retail, data centers, logistics, etc. should as well come under such regulation, so that investors in those sectors are also equally protected.
Thank you so much, Hardik. Any other questions?
There are two questions from Bangalore. I'll take both together. One is on how can real estate professionals and associations like CREDAI effectively advocate for balanced regulation that benefit all stakeholders? And what measures can be taken to ensure that smaller developers are not disproportionately burdened by the evolving regulatory standards? First, I'll address this. The small developers are not hit at all, because anything you do less than 500 square meter, up to 8 units, you are exempted. So the small developers don't have to follow, but we keep advocating as CREDAI that even if they are our members, that even there they should follow all regulations of RERA, so that the standard is maintained and there is no problem and there is no client complaint. That is what we advocate from CREDAI. On the second question about associations effectively advocate balanced regulation, as I told you, all the stakeholders have to be brought into the ambit of RERA. Unless or otherwise that is done, it will be only a one-way traffic. It is like clapping with one hand. There will be no solution. You have to bring in all stakeholders, including the banks, financial institutions, all the approving authorities, all the agencies which give no objection certificate. Everyone should come into the ambit of RERA, so that the client's interest is completely taken care. So that is one thing which we are pressing for, which will help all the stakeholders.
Thank you. Hardik, one question to you. There was a recent Haryana, RERA judgment which included lenders or brought lenders within the ambit of the definition of promoter. What are your views on that?
Correct. As I earlier mentioned, I think consistency of rules across the states is very critical for all the stakeholders to protect their interest. Like Maharashtra, MahaRERA has been very proactive. They have given clarifications about certain regulations. Delhi High Court in one of the recent judgments passed that banks and lenders cannot be held liable for any delay in the projects, right? At the same time, Haryana has come up that lenders will be classified as promoters. So I think this is still an evolving position, and as we are all very certain that developers, right, the entire project control is with the developers, financials are involved, but only when all the stakeholders get under the Common Act and the rights of all the stakeholders are protected, this situations will keep on coming, which will result in delay in projects not getting the financial closures, and eventually home buyers not getting their flats on time.
Understood. But the similar analogy was raised by landowners. See, landowners contribute their land, but beyond that, they have no control over the development. So why should they also be brought within the ambit of a promoter? Was a moot point.
This answer might be a little disturbing for landowners. When landowner chooses a developer, he knows whom he is choosing. There is a lot of percentage difference. I can give you a very green offer, but I may not complete the project. Jerry might give an offer which might be much, much lower than me, but Jerry will complete the project. If he is not able to make the difference, whose mistake is that? So that is where landowner comes. Landowner, if he becomes little over ambitious in what he wants to get, he gets into problem. So that is why the landowners are also being brought in, because most of the cases you will find when dispute happens, the landowner gives a power of attorney to the developer. When there is a problem, he just goes and cancels the power. What happens to the buyer? What happens to the customers who have bought in the project? So we that should not be allowed. But the Registration Act allows a power of attorney to be cancelled. See, that's where legal gets in. He just goes, cancels the power. So the entire project comes to standstill. Unless otherwise the land developer is also, the landowner is part of it. Maybe we should specify what is his role. RERA should say, you're responsible for X, Y, Z, something like that. He has to be part. He cannot unilaterally go and cancel the power.
That's where I think one of the judgments, RERA has held that landowner is also liable to pay or refund any monies that were taken by the developer from the home buyers.
No, that is going too far. It cannot happen. But that's why I'm saying he needs to be protected and he needs to be answerable for certain points. The landowner's responsibility on the RERA registration should be defined properly. And this is to control all this. There are some people getting advice, they go and cancel, where end of the day, it's the customer who is suffering. And we say that customer should not suffer.
Understood. Thank you. I'll take one last question here. For projects completed before 2016, can owners approach RERA for defect delay in patta registration resale? So the first thing is, patta delay does not come per se within the ambit of RERA, because all this is not in their control. It's the revenue department that issues the patta. Registration again is by the registration department. So it says delay defect in patta registration resale. But in any case, I mean, if this is in connection with the project itself, key thing is whether the project received a completion certificate before 2017, before the commencement of the act. If the project has received the completion certificate, then technically they don't fall under RERA. But we have seen instances where the RERA has sort of entertained even complaints for projects prior to the commencement of the act. Hope this clarifies. Anything else which you all want to add? Okay. Karthik, any final words from you? It's good. Okay, I think we'll wind this session. Thank you so much. Group Captain, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Hardik, for joining us. We are separated by distance. Next time when you come, look forward to seeing you hosting at MMA. But not to think, we have got a digital memento for you. What we do is we do a lot of CSR work with a number of children, poor school. On your behalf, we'll be presenting them textbooks because people like you come and speak at MMA. That makes a lot of people view, and that's one of the reasons we reach out to a large number of people. Thank you for joining us in Mumbai in spite of your busy commitment.
Delighted. Thank you so much.
Please step forward, President Memento, on behalf of us. Sundaram, can you also join us on stage? Patta means yes, we are the disposal of Tahsildar. We know we are also undergo all this. Please step forward. These are all about the events. Green, go green. I'll be having you. I want to see you more. I might touch with you.
Thank you so much.
No, national president is a